What's going on, guys? I am Simple Simon. Welcome to the New 50 Noob. I'm your comic book noob, and I'm here at Big City Comics, my favorite comic book shop, with my buddy Mark. Say hi, Mark. Hi, Mark! And I'm not going to show you my haul today, or maybe I've only got a few books, but I figured I'm going to have a chat with Mark, another comic shop hangout kind of episode, and ask him a few questions, so let's do this. Alright, Mark, so we've become a bit of a dynamic duo, I feel like, you know, with these comic shop hangout videos. It's like you're Batman and I'm Robin, and you know, eventually I'll grow to become Nightwing once I know my stuff and I'm no longer a noob, right?
And what do I grow to be?
You'll become old Batman.
Old Batman.
We've done a couple of episodes where, you know, we just shoot the shit, really. I said shit. Well, we talk about some stuff about comic books. We did some Batman talk. We've just done some crossover talk. And today's video is going to be about you.
About me?
Yes.
What do you mean about
Today's video is going to be about my comic shop guy, Mark. And I'm going to ask him a bunch of questions about being a comic shop owner.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I've been wanting to make a video with you for a long time about your shop, and you just keep telling me it's not ready. And he also keeps telling me, I don't want to feel like I'm promoting my shop. It's like, you're not. I want to promote your shop because you're my friend, and you know, I want people to know about your shop. When I first met you and discovered your shop when I was on the hunt for some bat dong, I found your website. You had a little spiel about, you know, how it was your dream to have a comic shop, right?
It was.
So I want to ask you about that. Well, tell me about your dream and you know, before you were a comic shop owner and stuff like that, and just how this all came to.
I remember saying to myself when I was, you know, younger, I'd love to own a comic book store. I suppose the dream disappeared over the years, you know, because of life and, you know, stuff happens, you get other jobs. And so pretty much forgot it. And I was working in a retail store. I was there for like 10 years and I wasn't going anywhere. I wanted to enhance my skills as a leader, and they never really gave me the time of day, so I decided to start a comic book store. It was my father who reminded me, who remember, Mark, when you wanted to open up a comic book store? And I said, oh, I do remember. You know, man, and it just brought back so many memories. And then, you know, I looked into it. I asked a couple of friends who own comic book stores as well, and you know, they gave me the pros and the cons, but I was all starry-eyed, and I said, I just went in it, both feet in.
And you just went for it, right?
Oh, I just went for it.
I think there's a lot of people who want to do, you know, obviously, I mean, I've had many dreams, but as far as getting off my butt and pursuing them, you know, like, it's hard to really make that first step.
Well, I've been lucky. This is my second dream that I'm achieving.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my first dream was being a DJ. And I became a very accomplished DJ. That was one of my dreams. And then I wouldn't say first or second, but it was one of my dreams.
Yeah.
And you know, that was done with, and yeah, now I'm on to my second dream, I suppose.
He's done it all, this guy.
No, I haven't done it.
Hey,
actually, I have been married and divorced, so there you go.
You go to a lot of comic shops these days, or places that sell comics, but it seems like the main attraction is collectibles and toys and pop vinyls and things like that. I remember you specifically telling me that you wanted the comics to be the main attraction of your shop. I remember you telling me that.
Correct. I don't want to become a toy store with comic books in it. That's how I want to phrase it.
Yeah.
Because it's just a shame. I want to try and keep it traditional. I wanted to keep it about comics. You know, yeah, it might be hard at times to make the rent just on comics, but it is possible, you know. It comes down to how passionate and what type of customers you want in the store. And of course, like all businesses, you have your ups and downs and you have your road bumps, I suppose you could say. You know, your potholes, but you know, you get over them, you work through them, and you know, try and move forward.
Yeah, and as I always say, do what you love, right? So you tell me you love coming here.
I love
every day.
coming here.
And I think that's what we should all really be doing.
I have a policy in life. I've got many, but one of them is we work about 80% of our lives, and why shouldn't we be happy doing what we do? Doesn't matter what it is you do, you should be happy doing it.
Hashtag do what you love.
Do what you love.
Alright, so next question. If you remember how you first got into comics, and if you remember what maybe your first book was, if not your first book, at least early stuff that you collected.
I'm old, first of all, right? But
young at heart, mate.
Yeah, I'm in Australia. I remember when I was a kid, we used to get these comic books. They were never the American comic books. It's like someone licensed all the stories from DC, mostly DC, the Flash and Superman, Batman stuff, and it's like they licensed them in big, thick annuals. Like they were massive. They had like 5 or 6 stories in one volume.
So it was like a trade almost?
No, it wasn't a trade. It was still paper, like floppy.
But it was just like a thicker version.
It was a thicker version, but they were all black and white. If it wasn't so impromptu, I would have brought one along, because I've still got them, right, under my bed. But as a kid, I used to love them. They were all in black. It's like they licensed the black and white, not the colour. You know, like the cut costs, I suppose. I don't know. You know what? My dad used to buy them for me, and I used to get them as a kid. I'd look at the pictures. I was too young to read, so I'd colour them in. I'd colour in the pictures.
No.
You know?
So the one you've still got, they're probably worth a mint, but this guy went and coloured them.
Oh, they're not really. They're more worth to me. Not really worth to me, but they're worth for me. And I kept them. But my first proper comic book was a trade, actually. Was Death in the Family.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
really?
Yeah. So
how old were you when that happened? Because I got that.
14. I bought that as a trade.
I got that. I would have been probably like half a year. Like I was probably about 7 or 8 then. I remember.
The whole premise of Death in the Family was people had to vote whether Jason Todd, Robin, to be killed off. To me, as a kid, I always thought that was insane. And so think of it now, it was still insane, because there was no internet. People had to ring. And I know DC will never do that ever again.
I still remember calling up mates and being on the phone for 3-4 hours just on your...
I just couldn't believe it.
You couldn't walk any more than 2 meters away from the phone because there was a cord attached to it.
Yeah. Do we kill off this character or we'll leave it up to you? I mean, mate, Jim Aparo, who did the art, I fell along with his art, as well. So...
Did you find it, because the whole stigma of comics for kids, it's not a kid's story.
No,
by any stretch.
No, any stretch. It made the Joker much more villainous, and it made Batman more human.
Did you know back then with comics, like being your first trade, like did you understand the whole DC universe and that it was one universe? Because I remember as a kid reading it, thinking, I was like, how come Superman's in this book?
Yeah,
because I'll never forget that from being a kid reading like Superman when Batman punches him and hurts his hand. I was like, A, how is Superman in this story? And B, oh my god, Batman's
I never thought of anything else. I didn't think there was a Marvel.
Yeah, exactly.
I always thought they were all in one universe. From that, I've been collecting comics ever since, I used to buy them mail order. And I can tell you the store too, they're still around, Alternate Worlds. They used to have a mail order service. I used to order through the mail, like they'd give me like a preview order book. I'd get them in the mail. Then I found I went to a market, and there was this guy named Drew, and he had a store in my area which I never knew about, called Age of Aquarius, and I started going there, and I used to go there on my lunch breaks, because where I was working, I'd go there on my lunch breaks and hang out with him. And we became really good friends, and then he ended up closing the store. And then I went to another store in Melbourne called Comics R Us, and I went there for about 20 years. So, 2 more questions. One is, do you have a comic book that you cherish the most in your collection? Obviously you've got a lot, but maybe even just a couple that you cherish the most that mean so much to you? That first one?
Yeah. Like is in the black and white ones or the Batman one? No, the Batman, the Death in the Family. That means a lot to me. That actually is like the... Yeah, the Death in the Family, God, my Alien stuff, my Dark Horse Alien series that they did. How old is that? Right after the film, right after the second film. Is that old? Okay. Yeah, so I absolutely cherish those. Yep. I need to do a video on your collection one day. Yeah, it's not that big. Let's go through it. My collection's not that big. Mine's probably bigger than it by now. As younger, I never went and chased key issues. And you know what something Mark does as well, which is just like, what the hell? He'll give up his copy of a book to a customer. Which I'm doing that anyway this week actually. Yeah, like it's, man, I thought I was a nice guy, but this guy. Yeah, but it's part of the collecting process, I'm not a greedy person. Like I remember there's always a second or third. That deceased variant. I remember you only had you were sold out, and you were like, I've got one left, man. You didn't say it. But I knew that was your copy, mate. I was like, give me that. Last question. I'll wrap it up. What would you say to people who, I guess, aren't into comics, who maybe have considered it or want to get into comics but are a little bit too scared to venture into the shops? Because I must say, when I first got into comics, I just didn't know where to start. I was almost too scared to even look around, because I'm scared they're going to ask me a question and they'll be like, what? Who's Green Lantern? Yeah. Like, is there anything you'd have to say? Look, the hard thing is, obviously, is to find you've got to find your comic book store. You
gotta find someone you connect with when you're new in comics.
Like a character, you mean?
No, just anything really. I mean, yeah, a character. I always ask someone when they first come into the store, have you got a favourite character? Do you watch the movies? I mean, that makes it easier when.
I've also known that you've asked people like what genre, because not necessarily people aren't always into superheroes, right?
Correct.
And I've noticed when you see someone new coming to the shop, you always approach with that sort of questions or just get a gauge of what they're into. You know?
Yeah, of course. So I've always said comic books are very episodic. So I'm in no surprise that a lot of the streaming services and have gone and using the comic books as a TV show because comic books are very episodic. And so people come in wanting to know. So Umbrella Academy, for example, as soon as that hit the airwaves, mate, I cannot keep up. People want to know more. They want to know where it came from. You know, and by a great writer, Gerard Way, which you all know is the lead singer of My Chemical Romance, and he's really finding his niche. And he's done Doom Patrol.
Because I think a lot of people don't actually realise how many shows, especially on Netflix, come from comics and mostly image stuff.
Some of it, yeah, right? Dark Horse as well. But so people come in, they're curious, and it's a good medium to get kids to read as well because they got pictures and words and it works well. I know a lot of people are passionate out there about comics and they get offended when someone says anything wrong, but everyone has their own opinion. Everyone should respect everyone's opinion. I always get their opinion and then I ask them, if they want to read something along the lines of that. There's so many genres in comics. Horror is coming back or is back in a big way. Superheroes is still there, but it's consistent. Whereas horror and sci-fi, they're coming in a big way.
But there really is basically, with comics, there really is something for everyone.
There is, and so, if someone wants to get into comics, you've got to find, so if you want to get into superheroes, I always try, if they're into a character, I always try to get them into a standalone story. A 6-issue mini-series. Most mini-series, they have it defines the character, so you get to, not only has a good story, but it's got a good character-defining story. And then if they want to read more, then some of them, I try and find them a jumping on point. Some customers, I ask them, do you want to read or do you want to collect? Because there's two different types. There's the guys who collect and they buy the floppies, and then you've got the people who read who buy the trades. And trades are really good for jumping on points because you can read stories, like arcs. It comes down to customer individuality of what their tastes of what I recommend. That's the longest version, I suppose. The industry is evolving, and so is, it's constantly evolving. So we'll see what happens in the next year, what happens.
Alright guys, and that's the end of today's episode. This is just something I've wanted to do for a long time. Get to know your local comic shop guy. But me and Mark have really become friends in this time, which is great. So he lets me use his shop and he helps me out a lot. So I appreciate you, Mark, just so you know.
I appreciate you too, Simon. Thanks.
What a moment. Follow us on socials. On Instagram, Mark is at Big City Comics and I am at the New 50 Noob. Until next time, say bye, Mark.
Bye, Mark.
Keep it simple.